Hey everyone, welcome back to Kubrick Corner with me, Sean Wilson. So, have you come to terms with Avengers Infinity War yet? Because I think I have just about. You can check out my review here on the site, and I'm aware that it's been a good couple of weeks since the movie has come out, but it's still very much in the consciousness, and I just wanted to now drill down really in some of my thoughts on what the film actually means, why it's successful, and what it means for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. Because we're really in this very, very interesting transitional period with this franchise now. The MCU, as it's known, is now 10 years old. It started back in 2008 with Iron Man. Everything since the first Iron Man has built up to the game-changing events of Avengers Infinity War, in which you get the bad guy actually succeeding in his aims. And I think this is really one of the reasons why I really, really love the movie. It's quite a bold choice. It also kind of had to happen. Thanos wins in this movie, at least temporarily, at least for this time round. I mean, obviously we need to wait and see what happens in Avengers 4, but he actually does win. He gets all 6 Infinity Stones, and he obliterates half of all life in the universe, including half of the Avengers team, which includes relatively new candidates like Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, both of which absolutely shocked me, because I kind of thought, well, I mean, if they're going to kill anyone off, I don't think they're going to kill off the new characters, not least because those are just 2 characters that I've cited that have got new movies coming up in Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, Black Panther 2 is now on the cards. It remains to be seen whether Ryan Coogler is going to come back to direct it, but Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is also scheduled in for next year. So to an extent, you can kind of map out which characters are probably going to come back in Avengers 4. But what we don't know is how they're going to be changed by these experiences. I mean, I would have thought that the whole idea of dying and then coming back to life will change you in some way or another. The other bit that really, really shocked me was Gamora. Thanos executing Gamora in what was almost certainly the film's most disturbing and shocking sequence for me. And that scene also serves to unlock more nuances in Thanos as a character himself, because there are things that even he cannot foresee. He is an instrument of force, but he is as much subject to the laws of the universe as the Avengers are, and he doesn't know what he has to do to get the Soul Stone until it's too late. And then, of course, he goes through with it, and that hastens his slide into increasing tyranny. I mean, he thought he was tyrannical at the start when he killed Loki. His execution of Gamora in order to get the Soul Stone only makes him even more so. So this is a really, really interesting thing. So you have a bad guy who basically succeeds in his aims, although, as I said, we won't get all the answers we need until Avengers 4 next year. This opens up a real sort of interesting puzzle box of potential possibilities, what we're going to get with this. Intriguingly, neither Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., or Captain America, Chris Evans, died in this one, although I suppose we could have anticipated that, because their contracts aren't technically up yet. Their contracts are up with next year's Avengers 4, although I dare say they probably could have killed them off in this one and then had them come in flashbacks in the next one. But they're both still alive, which was another surprise, although Iron Man, one would imagine, is completely emotionally devastated now at having seen Spider-Man die in his arms like that. Obviously Peter Parker was his protege, but this opens up a whole sort of raft of questions now as to how they're going to proceed. And of course the Avengers 4 title hasn't yet been revealed, because apparently it's spoiler-tastic. They're holding on to that. I wouldn't have thought we're going to get that until either the end of this year or or at the start of next year. I mean, clearly we're in, as far as the Phase 3 movies are concerned, we've still got Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out, which is out in the UK in August. We've then got Captain Marvel coming out in March 2019, and her appearance, as played by Brie Larson, was of course teased in the post-credit sequence of Infinity War. So they have to, it's a very, very, it's almost like a line of dominoes. If they push one and they give away too much information too early, it'll all come crashing down. And this, so much hinges on this move, on the events of Infinity War. They've got to be very careful about what they obviously reveal. So, of course, the key question now is, how the hell do they move the narrative of Avengers 4 forward, given that half of all the Avengers team have now been killed? or have they been killed? Have they been physically killed, or have they, or do their spirits endure somewhere else? And I kind of think this is one of the key things here, because clearly at the end of Infinity War, when Thanos succeeded in his aims, he got that very peculiar vision of Gamora as a young child. Obviously, he wiped out her people and basically took her as his stepdaughter, but he got that very chilling vision, which apparently was contained within the Soul Stone itself. If you look at the colouring of that sequence, it's very orange, and it seems to mirror the colour of the Soul Stone, and that is, I think, both a harbinger of his own guilt or his own feelings at having basically executed half of all life in the universe. But I also think that's an allusion to what might actually happen in Avengers 4, because there's having researched this, I must say, I can just say I'm not a comic book aficionado. What I know about the comic books has only arisen as a result of what I've researched for the films themselves. But there was the Jim Starlin's Infinity War Gauntlet arc, which had Adam Warlock actually trapping souls within the Soul Stone. Of course, Adam Warlock was a character who was teased at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and who is yet to make an appearance again so far in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I reckon that's going to have something to do with it. I reckon they might not be slavish to it. And of course, in this instance, it's Thanos who's got possession of the Infinity Stone, not Adam, not the Soul Stone, beg your pardon, not Adam Warlock. But I reckon maybe trace elements of that Infinity War Gauntlet arc from the comics will make its way into this, and maybe there'll be some kind of insurrection within the Soul Stone itself. Maybe, although the characters have been physically obliterated, maybe they've been taken to another plane somewhere else, which may be something that Thanos, another element, like sort of cosmic element that Thanos can't have anticipated in his desire to basically obliterate the world. And maybe the vision of Gamora at the end of Infinity War maybe suggests that her soul will play some kind of a significant role in Avengers 4. I mean, one's got to imagine that she'll come back at some point, because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is scheduled in for 2020, unless they go on and make Guardians Volume 3 without her, and that then acts as a way of maybe darkening and anguishing Star-Lord's character. Star-Lord is played by Chris Pratt, but that's all speculative at this stage. Another suggestion is that maybe the Time Stone will be involved. Obviously, at the end of Infinity War, Thanos used the Time Stone to wind everything back and then retrieve the Mind Stone from Vision at Paul Bettany. That's another possibility, that maybe it will be a case they'll have to launch one final assault on him wherever he is at this moment and get the Time Stone back. Although I have to say, if they were to do it like that, I would feel a little bit cheated. I'd feel that probably would be the least interesting way of going about it, not least because it would dramatically undercut what actually happened at the end of Infinity War. If they could just turn everything back, I don't think that's going to be dramatically interesting enough for that. The other possibility, of course, goes back to Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, who was one of the Avengers who died at the end of Infinity War, at least temporarily. And he, of course, tells Tony Stark that there is only a 1 in 40 million chance of them beating Thanos. And indeed, before he died, Strange seemed oddly calm with what was happening. So maybe he realises that in order to right the scales, half of all life needs to be sort of demolished, at least temporarily, in order to hasten this successful plan. So maybe that's got something to do with it. Maybe everything has to die in order to come back to life again. That's another possibility. It's all rampant speculation at this stage. I think what we do know is that Captain Marvel is going to be playing some kind of significant role. As I said, her solo debut movie is coming in March 2019, before the events of Avengers 4. So although the Captain Marvel solo movie is, of course, an origin story which takes place in the 1990s, and that will flash us back to obviously the origins of the character. I reckon what we might be seeing, and this is purely speculative from me, is Captain Marvel having been out in space as per the comics. I reckon she then comes back to Earth via Titan. She picks up Iron Man on the way, and I reckon she then regroups with Iron Man on Wakanda with the likes of Captain America and Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, in order to try and figure out what the next step will be, whilst within the Soul Stone something else is happening with all the souls that have been harvested by Thanos. So I reckon we're going to get something like that, and it's going to be another battle on two fronts, except one of these battles this time is going to be on the more elemental celestial plane, whereas one is going to be actually in the physical world itself. I reckon that's what's going to happen. But again, I don't know yet. There is a lot that we as the punters don't know about where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going, but that's actually really, really exciting. I actually love the fact that as it stands, we don't know what the 9 movies mapped out between 2019 and 2022 are going to be. And indeed, Kevin Feige has now said that we're going to be getting movies up to 2025, and now there is a suggestion that we're going to be getting more Avengers movies. Disney CEO Bob Iger has himself sort of hinted at that. So it's all very interesting. I mean, we know we're going to get Black Panther 2. We know we're going to get Spider-Man Homecoming 2. We know we're going to get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Although, again, there's no definite answer as to whether Gamora is going to come back into that. So really, it's a really exciting place to be with what is arguably the biggest movie franchise of all time at the moment. I love the questions that Avengers Infinity War left me with. I can't wait until next year to see how they're going to be answered, if indeed they're all going to be answered. We don't know that for sure yet. But drop me a comment here at Kubrick Corner and let me know how you think the MCU is going to be going forward from here. Speak soon.